now the Director of Indian History Awareness and Research, a nonprofit headquartered in Houston, USA. An alumnus of Delhi College of Engineering, she made a career shift to writing after moving to Singapore. Her book, The Educational Heritage of Ancient India, How an Ecosystem of Learning Was Laid to Waste, has been appreciated for awakening Indians to the role played by India in spreading knowledge around the world. Sahana Ji has won several awards for journalism, including the Developing Asian Journalism Award in 2008. Her articles have been published in Reader's Digest, Washington Post, Discovery Channel Asia, Asian Water Magazine, Swarajya, India Facts, and other publications. She is also on board of Ishwar Seva Foundation, a US nonprofit dedicated to helping Hindu refugees. She is passionate about traveling and connecting the dots across different societies, civilizations, and disciplines. Sahana Ji was one of the early people who read Rituvidya, and today she will be giving her reactions to the book. Sahana Ji, such a pleasure to have you here. I now invite you to share some of your words.
Namaste. It is a great privilege to be invited to speak at the launch of Rituvidya, which I think is a path-breaking book on menstruation. Thank you for the gracious introduction. I have been an admirer of Sinu Joseph's work for many years now, right from the time she appeared on a TED talk, a TEDx talk, in which she spoke about the menstrual health of rural women in India. I think that was in 2014. And that talk was a revelation. I'm sure it was a revelation for many others who saw it. So all my life until that point, I had been hearing that Indian women needed, rural Indian women needed to be taught about wearing sanitary napkins, about hygiene, about menstrual hygiene, about reproductive disorders, and so on. So I always thought that the urban women were better off because we had access to sanitary napkins. We were not socially isolated. We could go where we wanted. We could go to office. We could go to parties. So that was the thinking. And but here was Sinu on the stage telling us that we got it all wrong. So she pointed out that we, the urban women, needed to actually observe and learn from the rural women about the whole attitude towards menstruation, the diet to be adopted, how to be in sync with nature. And I remember making my mother, sister, daughter, all of them watch Sinu's video, and all of them nodded their heads because she was making perfect sense to them too. And my mother had actually told me about the social isolation that she and her sisters had gone through when they were growing up in Karnataka, my grandmother as well. So she told me that it was because women had lower immunity when they were menstruating. But I thought it was more because they didn't have sanitary napkins. So it would have been embarrassing if they went out without that, with all the staining. So I thought that was the reason they were isolated. I didn't know that there were so many valid reasons for women to be secluded when they were on their period. And now when I was hearing Sinu's talks about menstruation, I was actually on my own journey. I was making my own connections with ancient Indian knowledge about sanitation, about how we knew from a long time that excreta and waste products had to be segregated from human habitation, from our food, from our drinking water. So I knew all that. Just a minute, I'm having a issue with my screen. Yeah. So so it was. So I made my connection with the sanitation knowledge of ancient India. But the problem was that the media was projecting it as if the open defecation problem that we had was connected to our Hindu texts. Whereas what I realized was that it's because we knew that we needed to keep the excreta away from our food. That was the reason people were going out into the fields to defecate. So I was fighting battles on social media and trying to remove misconceptions around this whole association of ignorance of Hindus with regarding sanitation. And later I wrote papers on the topic because I realized that the first step to change the discourse is to write papers and books. So this was my journey when Sinu was talking about menstruation. So coming to Ritu Vidya, I am glad Sinu wrote this book to fill all the gaps in our understanding. She has confirmed what many of us know, that our ancestors had gained a valuable understanding, a remarkable understanding of the natural world, right down to the subatomic levels. So the special thing about Sinu is that she explains things very simply with apt analogies and examples, which really makes you understand. And she breaks down the popular paradoxes. Like we are told that on one hand, woman is an embodiment of Shakti, and women are worshipped, and they're all that. But then on the other hand, we have women who are excluded during their periods and not allowed to enter temples and so on. But Sino makes us realize that these are not contradictions. These are a part of an integrated understanding of the female body that we traditionally had. And I appreciate Sino for taking a complex topic like Ayurveda and making it intelligible to the laypersons. She has done an outstanding job in explaining the process of menstruation in Ayurvedic terms, of explaining how doshas, how it is all connected to doshas, and when there is an imbalance of doshas, when it reaches its peak, that is when menstruation happens. And this is something that I understood for the first time, the whole relationship between doshas and menstruation. Until I read the book, whatever I had read on menstruation was actually quite confusing, even though it came from the Indic viewpoint. But now I understand how oxidative stress happens during menstruation and how to counter it. The book also explains the science behind what are the kinds of foods that we are supposed to eat during menstruation and what we are supposed to avoid. So I came to know about how a person with Vata Prakriti I mean, what is a normal menstruation for Vata Prakriti person, or for a Pitta Prakriti person, or a Kapha Prakriti? What is normal menstruation? What is the problematic menstruation? So these are things that became clearer to me by reading the book. And what I found fascinating was that the bleeding patterns of women and the color of blood, the quality of blood, the texture of the blood, all these things are an indicator of the health of a woman. So this is something I wish I knew in the early years. So a woman can actually be trained to decode the state of her health by looking at her bleeding pattern and her the texture of the blood and so on. I think it's an absolute shame that we Indian women have taken nothing from this great wealth of knowledge in Ayurveda, and we don't know how to take care of our bodies or how to interpret the signals that the body is giving to us during menstruation. And the other insight I got from Sinu's book is about the celebration of menarche. Of course, I had heard my mother telling me about it when I had my menarche many decades ago. My mother said that this would have been celebrated with a feast and people would have been invited in another time. And at that time, I was so disgusted, I just recoiled from the idea of celebrating something as disgusting as this. So that was the level of ignorance. So this book makes the important point that when you associate celebration and joy with the happening of an event for the first time, then you will have a positive attitude towards it. So I find it amazing that the rural women, even when they are uneducated, they regard menstruation as something very beneficial to them. They see it as a divine blessing that they get month after month, which protects them from a variety of diseases. So I wonder why we didn't have that knowledge growing up in the cities. Today, medical sciences tell us that women are protected from heart diseases during the menstruating years compared to the men who are at greater risk of heart diseases. But the traditional women of India knew it all along that menstruation was helping to keep diseases away, and they were celebrating the onset of menarche. When I was growing up, I always wondered why women had been singled out for this curse of menstruation while the men had escaped from it. So Sinu's book makes the point that we women had actually been singled out for the gift of menstruation. It was far from a curse, it's a boon. And so I think this is a paradigm shift in thinking, if we are able to recognize this for the urban women, of course. So we have got so disconnected from our civilization that we need to be re-educated to know all these basic things. How many of us can even imagine that the menstrual cycle of the woman has a parallel in the menstrual cycle of the earth, Mother Earth? So I was filled with amazement to know that during Grishma Kala, there is a dominance of Vayu and Agni on earth. And this is similar to how the Vata and Pitta doshas are high during the menstrual period of a woman. And it was very interesting to know that in Eastern India, the traditional women, traditional people give a rest to Mother Earth during the time that the earth is supposed to be menstruating. And I think it's mind-boggling that the traditional people, the indigenous people were able to make the connection between the fertility cycle of the earth and the fertility cycle of the woman, how they do not dig the earth and they try not to go out during those days. And it was also very interesting for me to know that the auspicious days in a year for marriage, for conception, for birth, all these are linked to the seasons, which can also be mapped to the menstrual cycle of a woman. So this made it clear to me that there is a unified understanding of the universe in the Hindu worldview, which covers all aspects, all cycles of nature, including the woman's cycle. The other aspect that Sinu brought out very meaningfully for me is the spiritual aspect of menstruation. That was something that had escaped me completely. So she says that when you adhere to the menstrual practices as prescribed in Ayurveda, that you follow the right diet, you isolate yourself, you do pranayama and yoga, then it is possible to experience menstruation free from pain and free from all the disturbances. So it's absolutely, it's not normal to have pain and all those discomforts, which we were told is actually normal. So she explains in the book that when you achieve that state of balance where there's no pain, then the mind can be receptive to the subtle changes of the universe, which is all what spirituality is all about. So Sinu in her book points out that women are able to women don't need to do rigorous sadhana like the men are prescribed to do, but because menstruation itself is kind of a kind of sadhana that we do month after month. So this is something that I had not, I kind of had heard it, but it was not couched in this language, which made it so intelligible to me. So these are some of my thoughts. I congratulate Sinu Joseph for making this effort to present such an authentic, integrated, cohesive worldview of menstruation. I appreciate that she acknowledged the rural women from whom she learned so much. And what I like is that she has written from a space of reflection and meditation. It's not just a regurgitation of facts. So that really comes out in the book. And she has busted myths and misconceptions. She has clarified various aspects of Hinduism. And I'm sure that this book will clear the cobwebs in minds and move readers towards the right attitude and the right knowledge. I wish this book had been written some 50, 70 years ago when the educated Indians had begun to cut ties with their ancient civilization and had started blindly embracing modernity. But better late than never. I hope this book is widely read and discussed. I'm glad that our daughters and granddaughters have this book. It is surely a book for posterity. So thank you very much, Sinu, and thanks to the whole team which has been working on projects related to menstrual health. Namaste.